Rocket is the key fintech hub in Lithuania, where top creators and founders build the future of financial technologies and the next generation of sustainable innovations. Acting as a dynamic ecosystem, we provide space for networking, expertise sharing, and cooperation, enabling and contributing to the success stories of the finance, technology, and innovation sectors. During the past years, our hub has established a leading position as the home of fintech and core place for fintech community.
Hello, welcome to our Rocket Coffee Talks, and I'm very happy to greet you from this our Christmas studio. I am Camila Mazerme. I am a Communications and Partnership Manager here at Rocket, and I'm very excited to welcome today Montonio Finance team. So Carol Napus, co-founder and CEO, and Antanas Bernatonis, Head of Business Development. Also, Antanas is our Rocket member who we actually see quite recently, and not just because of the whole situation in the world, but also because Antanas decided to spend this cold time in warm Azores. So, Carol, I have a question for you. Are you jealous of Antanas while the whole team is working from the cold and windy Tallinn, and he is having his warm time in Azores?
Now, we're all diehard Estonians, so there's nothing that we love more than to see the sun go down at past 3 and having freezing temperatures. So, no, he can be in the Azores.
Thank you, Antanas. If I would be in your place, I'm not sure if I could manage, to do a serious job and serious business while enjoying this paradise. So how you manage this, and actually when you move there?
Yeah, well, I believe you can combine both. And I moved here a month ago, and yeah, I just, put my waterproof earphones in to get on the board and start, calling from the while surfing. It's much easier to break the ice that way. But to be serious, yeah, it's business as usual. Just I have to wake up earlier, and on the weekends the hikes views are much better.
Wow, seems like really a beautiful place to stay. By the way, before we are coming back to our topic, I just would like to remind our viewers that you can comment under the video your questions, and we'll answer them during our talk. So, coming back to serious stuff, Carol, can you briefly actually introduce how Montonio Finance started and what you do? Because you have started in 2018 and it's already 2 years, so I think you have a really interesting story to tell.
My apologies, the internet acted up, and as you said, you have a question. It went poof for me. So can you just repeat that?
Of course. So my question was actually about yourself, about the company, and what is the Montonio Finance? What do you do? And please tell us your story, because it's already 2 years you are working there. So it would be really interesting to hear.
Sure. Do you want to hear the long story or the short story?
The medium.
Okay. So I used to work in a fintech oriented software development house, and my roommate and my best friend at the time was working in a lending oriented bank, and we were, we still are geeks, so we discussed like really random things, such as, I don't know. At the time, we discussed like the different verticals in finance, and we got to talking about point of sale financing, and apparently how inefficient it was. This was one of these weird conversations that we were having, and then we had these thought experiments, and came up with the concept of Montonio, and we quit our jobs about like half a year later, having raised the first capital for the company. And yeah, we had a bunch of people that not a bunch of people. There were 6 of us in total, and we started Montonio. And so what Montonio is that we're a checkout solution. We initially started off with a credit intermediation model, so that basically customers can, let's say they want to buy a fridge or something. They want to split the payments over like 12 months or something, and then they can just fill out a single application. And then we fetch them loan offers from multiple lenders and show them like who can offer them the best deal, and they themselves can actually pick the one that suits them the most. So that's what we set off to build. It took us a while because there was a lot of licensing and everything to do, and now we're here. We're operating in 2 countries. We have a team of 9, and we're looking to expand to new countries as well.
Actually, Antanas, how you ended up in this company? I didn't ask, but that would be very interesting. Who found who? Karel found Antanas or Antanas found Karel?
The story again leads to the importance of the network. And my good friend Augusta, she at the time was studying in the UK, and together with Carol, they were in training camp in US some years ago. And I think Carol reached out to her asking whether she can recommend anyone in Lithuania to represent the company. And Augusta recommended me, and then after a short negotiation period, we ended up together with that great team was there, because like it was crazy, a bunch of 22-year-olds building this amazing company. Like you cannot resist that.
Wow, and you just got a payment institution license in Lithuania. Antanas, what does that mean for Montonio Finance, and was it easy to get to Lithuania, and comparing to Estonia, was it easy to get there? Maybe you both can comment on this question, Antanas from Lithuanian side and Karel maybe from Estonians, or as you like.
Yeah, so the process wasn't easy, certainly, and you can ask our legal guy Rasmus. He was really enjoying that all that paperwork and process. He was very happy about it, ironically speaking. But yeah, it was long and tiring process. But in the end, like we submitted all the documents. We were lucky. We got everything we needed, and now we are legitimate and allowed to use and start all the activities related with the PSD2 regulation, and yeah, build different solutions around it, which is our ultimate goal. And yeah, our first product related to that, which is payment initiation service, is already out in the market, and yeah, that's a great product with a great price and better user experience that anybody have ever seen. And I think Carol can add. Yeah, I think Carol can add up more from like compare with Estonian side. How was it different?
Passporting the license to Estonia was just a matter of informing the regulator and telling them that we're going to Estonia. But everything before that was an uphill battle. It was tough, yeah. But so yeah, sorry?
What were the main differences between getting license in Estonia and Lithuania? Can you emphasize 2 or 3 points? Maybe 1, or they were no different?
So, I mean, for getting the license to Estonia, we just had to tell the Bank of Lithuania that, hey, we're going to Estonia. So there wasn't really a process behind that. It was just a notice essentially, and then they had to confirm it.
Okay, so let's dive deeper into your credit intermediation solution. Karel, what's the current market situation now with the credit intermediaries, and what's the difference between the Baltics and Scandinavia in this market?
Sure. So yeah, credit intermediation is just like a really fancy word, right? But it's just means that you are brokering someone else's or facilitating someone else's loans. It's been around for a while in the Baltics, usually so far in the form of just like small loans and payday loans, which is not very cool. In the Nordics, it's more common. In Scandinavia, it's more common, especially in like Sweden and Norway. The market is a lot more mature there, and it's also one of the markets where we want to go. Sweden especially. But I think it's a really great time to get into the industry. I mean, all the electronic ID solutions becoming more and more mainstream takes care of the the know your customer issue, and technical capabilities of lenders and banks are just becoming ripe enough to offer customers really great solutions. So that's the situation as it is, I think.
And Thomas, maybe you have something to add from the business side.
Well, I agree with Carol, and in Lithuania, the market related to that is quite conservative. Still, there are many players in the market who have majority of stake, but we can see that there are coming quite many new players in the market who wants to bring the innovation and bring consumer closer to the innovation and allow them to go through the process that's easier. So yeah.
Okay, guys, we have a question from the audience, and that's quite interesting one. Do you mentor at school learners, and do you think it's meaningful for teenagers to learn how to manage the successful e-shop, which is, yeah. Carol and Thomas?
Sorry, the question was, do we mentor teenagers on how to set up e-commerce shops?
Yeah, do you mentor at the schools?
No, we don't currently mentor at schools. No, we do give some advice advice on building their e-commerce services on to our partners, though, if that counts.
Yeah, probably the question was about the education. Do you educate? But let's go further. Antanas, Montonio Finance is trying to offer a full checkout solution for merchants. What differentiates you in the market, and what's your value proposition for customers? Do you already have maybe any successful examples or stories to tell?
Sure, yeah. So I think, Camila, you already mentioned that our main value proposition that we want to offer a full checkout solution for merchants, that they wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And yeah, I think first of all, we actually care about the end customer and how to provide that best services for them. And we are bringing this very new approach to allow clients to get wider choices and let them know all the information that they can gather with a single application and single click and as short process as possible. Instead of getting all that different information from different sources, which consumes a lot of time, and often customers that decide to go with what they have. And in our way, in our approach, is also better for both customer and merchant, because merchant then can ease up and he can see the increased approval rates in the products and less abandoned baskets and or loans, and more completed transactions and everything. So yeah, this is our ultimate goal in the end. So to widen the choices for the customer in the most convenient way. And yeah, we got a few good verticals that we found in the market, niches in Lithuania at least, which is gardening equipment. We have companies that we signed the contracts with, and then that give us a chance, and with those companies who are working with furniture. So those are verticals in Lithuania that we see the potential that is not that was not seen by our competitors. But we also have interesting companies in other fields coming up in the upcoming months. And I think Carol can add more from Estonian side.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just to specify, I think first of all, the first half of your question was like, what differentiates us? What gives us the edge? I mean, there are other checkout solutions out there, right? We're not claiming to be the first ones to offer that. But no one has ever added, multiple lenders into the same flow and offered a full checkout solution. It's not so much a matter of like, oh my God, look at what they came up with, but it's just a matter of how we're packaging the whole thing and essentially how we are offering the final service and value to the merchants. And we are how we really work is that we get really really intimate with the merchants and focus on um, what are the pain points for them, and we really try to think of solutions that would make their lives easier, basically, because essentially the merchants are our distribution network and we want them to feel good in general. We want them to feel good about us. We want them to feel good about our collaboration. So we're always looking for ways to further that relationship and create new solutions around that. And in terms of success stories, we've had cases, especially with higher ticket items, especially with merchants that sell higher ticket items around 6 to 8,000 euros, where we were actually able to raise the conversion rates, meaning that the people that received an offer and actually signed it, by 30 to 70% in some cases. So yeah, there have been a number of those cases. If I said the names, they probably wouldn't matter to you because Lithuanian stores, Estonian stores, But yeah, that's the gist of it.
So the market is really growing for you guys, as I see, and you recently raised 500,000 in pre-seed round, and it seems that you maybe plan to expand. What's the next for Montonio? What are your plans maybe to expand the service, expand the team, maybe add any other services? What are your plans? And maybe the question is for both of you. Carol?
Right. Yeah, we've actually raised just slightly over 700,000 to date. So far, all the money has gone towards research and development, just creating and furthering the solution. But we are setting our sights on markets such as Sweden and Germany that we want to start doing pilots on in 2021. And we've slowly taken new members into the team as well. We don't want to be too hasty about that. We want to make sure that the traction we're getting from the market reflects indicators that would assure us that we can actually allow ourselves to hire someone new. So we have a bit of a conservative approach with that. Yeah.
And talents maybe from the business development side, from many partners.
Well, as Carol mentioned, we are taking a more conservative approach, and we are bringing the selected clients one by one, and we really want to create that relationship with them in order to understand them and be close. Not to that they would be like we onboard them and we'll leave them as they are, but no, we want to create that relationship and understand their needs and allow them to not be bothered by the questions of checkout anymore. So we are taking this approach, and yeah, as most of the times, Baltics are great countries for testing the product, for building it, and afterwards, of course, we are looking for the new markets to go, and yeah, of course, it's Scandinavia, it's Germany, and others.
Yeah, I see you have the conservative but real plans, but it doesn't mean that you cannot dream. So my question would be, where you see yourself with the company after 5 years, after 10 years maybe, because you mentioned that your biggest competitor is Klarna, so maybe you already know what to learn from them and how to expand the market over the seas.
5 years, we're open to acquisition talks. No, so long story short, we want to be all over Europe. I'm not just sure whether that's a matter of 5 years, or whether we will decide to do something else in the time. History has shown so far that we if we see an opportunity, we snatch it and we do something with it. So the plan that we had 2 years ago isn't the plan that we have today. And thank God that it's not the plan that we had 2 years ago, because the plan that we had 2 years ago is much less fun than the plan that we have today. So let's say we're planning to conquer Europe. Let's also say that, take it with a grain of salt, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we said about the conservative approach, don't get us wrong. I'm working with these guys for 2 years, and I'm the only person in Lithuania. The rest of the guys are in Estonia, but they are ambitious as hell, and they're very strong professionals who are doing these crazy things and coming with their ideas like you cannot believe. So it's gonna be great. Yeah.
By the way, did the pandemics had any affection to the business in a good way, in a bad way?
It's a double-edged sword. Customers were harder to reach. I mean, like, since we're a B2B company, we the people that we sell to were harder to reach, but at the same time, the volumes went up. So it was really it was a double-edged sword.
So challenging but successful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's a lot actually to learn from you, and time passed so fast. And actually, I'm really thankful for your time for Rocket Coffee Talks, and it was interesting to learn about your business, about your team, about you two guys, how you started, what you do now. And I just would like to wish you a Merry Christmas, to conquer the Europe very, very fast, and not to have any troubles while doing this. And for our viewers, I just want to say that this was the last coffee talk this year, but we're definitely coming after the new year with the new topics, new guests. And if you want to know more about us, just follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. Follow Montonio Finance about their experiences, about their winnings, right? And let's have all of us cozy and merry and rocking Christmas, and see you next year, guys. Thank you very much for being here, and have a nice day.